Cole Johnson says the best unresolved storyline in wrestling history is clearly the real world's champion. Cole knows the deal. If you mention the CM Punk real world's championship, which I've got right there, you'll get on the show. Let's dive into your hot takes. First up, Tanner's Garden says Randy Orton should be the one to break Flair's record, not Cena. I think Randy only needs like 2 or 3 or something like that in order to break Flair's record. Of course, Cena right now is tied with Flair. And one more, which a lot of people, including yours truly, are advocating for so that he can break the record. Who would WWE prefer to have as their guy that broke the record, that has the record for Ric Flair? Would they prefer it to be Cena or Orton? Man, how about this? What if they did this? Cena breaks the record, Orton ties Cena for the record. So you've got both guys, 2 of the guys from the old OVW 2002 class with that record. And then if one of them gets out of line, you still got the other one that can come back and snatch that record away from the other one. Yeah, I don't know. Dude, look, in my opinion, the guy with all the Make-A-Wish records, I think that's kind of a cool idea for him to have the WWE record. But at the same time, Randy Orton, that guy never left. The only time he ever left was like injuries and stuff. He's been through and through WWE guy for over 20 years now. So I could see the case being made for Randy Orton as well. I don't know where I land on this. I think I land on the Make-A-Wish guy. I think I land on John Cena, not because people always say, you look like John Cena. What do you mean y'all look like John Cena? You can't see me. Day Walker says if CM Punk gets injured one more time, his in-ring career is over in WWE. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. I think if he gets injured at the SummerSlam match and he's going to be out for 4 months, I think he'll come back for WrestleMania. I think if he's injured for 8 months, when he's ready to come back, I think they'd welcome him back because regardless of whether or not he's wrestling, people will tune in to see CM Punk. Now, maybe they'd bring him back as a commentator first while he rehabs or gets a surgery or whatever. I'm making up an injury at this point. And they'd approach it differently, meaning they won't necessarily, I'll put it this way. This might be the last time he gets injured and they actively have him involved in a feud in anticipation of a match. I would imagine that maybe if he gets injured again, they'll probably just use him in a different way, be it assistant to the general manager, president, something like that, some sort of authority figure, or maybe even manager or a commentary, which I think he'd be really, really good at. I think maybe they'd bring him in a different way. And then if he's ready to go, launch him into a feud once he's ready to go. This is probably going to be the last time we see him get injured and be involved in a feud at the same time. So that I agree with. Rise D says Booker T deserved to be the face of the company in his prime. He was basically the face of WCW in its dying days, and I thought he put in so much good work there in WWE once WCW got there that eventually, I mean, God, what an amazing career he had. I don't disagree with this. I think that Booker T was absolutely phenomenal. I thought he was a really good in-ring wrestler. The dude's got all the charisma. The promos were there. I thought he could have been in an even bigger role. But, you know, it is what it is. Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon. A lot of you agreed with this one, but I kind of feel like it's a bit of a cold take. Drew McIntyre, this is from the Wallinator. Drew McIntyre will never be truly appreciated for the excellent face champion work he did during the pandemic. I kind of feel like he gets his flowers for that. Kind of feel like most people know that Drew McIntyre had a really, really good face run and did really, really good work during the pandemic. And I think most people are like, yeah, he probably should have been able to at least win that championship or keep the championship or something in front of people. And he never did. It was pretty sad. Braden Loader says the LWO reincarnation has been Triple H's absolute worst creative fumble as it's held back almost everyone who's joined Dragon Lee, Carlito, Santos, even Ray. I think the one person that to a degree it's elevated has been Zelina Vega. Like, she was already kind of on the uprise, but I do think that her affiliation with the LWO kept her on TV because she was part of a faction. And she's been given several title shots since then. When I say several, I mean exactly that. I think there's only been 2, but she's on TV on a regular basis. I think the world of Zelina. I think she's great. But yeah, Dragon Lee kind of nowhere to be found. Carlito's doing great work right now on the Judgment Day, but not while with LWO. I think that's your point. And then Santos got split off to Legado. And then Ray, I agree. I think the LWO, I don't think it's necessarily been Triple H's worst creative fumble. I think so far that's been Karrion Kross. But yeah, but in terms of like the LWO, they're not the most compelling group in the world. They're really not. Diabetic Man says, after his 59-minute, 58-second match against Ospreay, I'm convinced MJF is the king of long matches now. That and his Iron Man match against Danielson are 2 of the best hour-long matches I've ever seen. I'm not a big fan of hour-long matches, but I can appreciate this. The one versus Ospreay was pretty awesome. There was a lot of variety in that hour-long match. And yeah, the MJF he's a terrific wrestler. He really is. He's up there with the best. Stephen Lawler says the final boss is the most intriguing version / character The Rock has played in his WWE career. I may be forgetting some stuff, but I personally think Rock's promo work as this character is just a lot more interesting than ever before. I thoroughly agree. I absolutely agree. I love The Rock during the Attitude Era. I thought it was awesome. I wasn't really a big fan once he came back to do like Hollywood Rock stuff, but Attitude Era Rock, when he really found his groove, was amazing. He was awesome. We all know that. This Rock 10.0, the final boss, man, he is something else. I really, really, really love what he brings to the table. And I hope that when he comes back, he really leans into the idea that he was lying through his teeth during that documentary. And he leans into the meme of him coming up with all the ideas in wrestling. I think that could be some fun. LJ Mickey says, Shelton Benjamin should have been WWE champion. I agree with this. If you guys remember when Shelton Benjamin first came onto the scene in WWE, oh my God, he was being pushed to the moon. The match against Triple H, the gold standard stuff. I loved Shelton Benjamin back then. I thought he was awesome. And yeah, I agree. I think he should have been WWE champion. Why not? They had 2 titles back then. Joe Random Does Stuff says AEW should start using separate stages for Dynamite, Collision, and pay-per-views. Part of the fun of wrestling for me was seeing the different stages for different shows. It would be fun if they brought back like practical sets here and there. AEW should do that. I think it'd be cool. Enough of these LEDs, man. I want to see real tangible things. Hoagie27 says, rather than introduce a women's US and a women's Intercontinental title, WWE should make the women's tag belts exclusive to one brand and introduce one mid-card belt on the other. I'd prefer if this isn't the case, but I'm worried that based on current trends, booking will be inconsistent with so many belts. Hey, they just need to do a better job booking their shows, to be honest with you. We did a whole thing this week, this past Monday, on Going in Raw about how SmackDown's been kind of boring lately. You need to find the time. You need to fit people into the shows and pay more attention to just your A storylines. Mr. Van Cleef says TNA will regret not putting the title on Joe Hendry last night. I think we found out that Mr. Van Cleef is a Joe Hendry burner account, so that's kind of cool that he watches the show. Elemental Giant says, hot take, LA Knight is a good in-ring wrestler. Every time he's had a big pay-per-view / TV match, he exceeds expectations. It helps that he's usually in there with really good wrestlers. Like next week he's fighting, or Friday, I think he's got a match against Santos, so that'll be good too. But yeah, I think he's improved in the ring. They just need to stop putting him out in the middle of the ring for these long 12-minute promos like he had with Logan Paul. Because like the guy is clearly just trying to remember what he's supposed to say. That shit would be terrifying for me, to be honest with you. It's Connor26 says, so far the 2020s will be the best decade in wrestling. You're forgetting about the 1930s when shit started being fake and like all these long, if you think about it, before then, like all the matches were like, 5 hours, 3 hours long, and it was just 2 dudes doing like catch wrestling. Boring. Then the Goldust Trio came along and they made everything fake, and they're like, hey, let's start doing cool finishes. So I think the 1930s is probably the best. But the 2020s is pretty good too. IG the King says nostalgia merchants have made the Ruthless Aggression era seem way better than what it actually was. Yeah, I'm sort of hot and cold on this. I understand the love for the Ruthless Aggression era. There was a lot to like about the Ruthless Aggression era. The matches were better. They had a lot of blood. The women's stuff was not good. Like Vince, the stuff revolving around Vince was generally dog shit. But if you get away from that, there was a lot of good stuff from the Ruthless Aggression era. Oh boy, here we go. Jesse says Miz is the most underrated talent of the past 20 years because he's focused on the thing that actually matters in wrestling as opposed to what the internet cares about. In 2024, having somebody like The Miz on your roster do media is far more important than another banger. All right, so here's the thing. You've just basically admitted to The Miz not being a very good wrestler. In terms of him being like a good media guy, sure. But I think the most important thing that really matters in wrestling is like making people give a damn to like watch the show. And as much as I appreciate The Miz and what he's sort of brought to the WWE in terms of his longevity, he's never been the kind of guy where I'm like, oh, I want to tune into this. Like he's had one really memorable promo in his life, and that was on Talking Smack. Sorry, but like I'm not there for The Miz. I'm not there for them. I'm sorry. I appreciate the guy's, had a hell of a career, but not for me. WJJW, the Demigod, says the current Bloodline story is just the Bullet Club Civil War story on a bigger platform. I disagree with that because the Bullet Club Civil War ended with like a tweet. Remember that? When like the Elite, they were feuding with like the rest of the Bullet Club, and then they just sort of ended it on a tweet. It was like Tama Tonga said, no, Jay White's the leader of Bullet Club. And then Cody was like, yeah, he is. Then nothing happened. That was lame. New Japan really should have done something with that. Jeff Hardy fan 316 what says WWE 2K19 is the best wrestling video game of all time for a video game wrestling show. The graphics, the old creations, just a hidden gem of a video game. Yeah, 2K19 is very, very fondly remembered. It's crazy the drop off between 19 and 20. It's absolutely nuts. Left Lock says Rey Mysterio should have dethroned Lesnar at Survivor Series 2019. I agree. He was super over. That would have been awesome. Dominic helps him out. Oh, that could have been great. Itamar Strauss. Itamar, I don't know what that name is. Says, hot take from the future. Okay, WrestleMania 53 will be the worst one ever. Why? What happens? When is that? How old will I be? WrestleMania 53? That's what? We just had 40. So it's 13 years from now. 13 years from now, I'm going to be 50. Oh, shit. I'm almost going to be 60 years old. Rock Prod Channel says Cena's 17th world title should be the TNA Championship. Would that count? Would that count? Let me know in the comments. Would you guys be like, oh, yeah, he broke the record because he got the TNA title? Enzo RJL says Homelander Cody from AEW is better than WWE babyface Cody. There was a car wreck quality to AEW Cody at a certain point. It was like, what weird thing is he going to do now? What like strange character? Like there was that Face of the Revolution ladder match where he got injured, but then like the cameras would never take him out of the frame even when he was back in one of the tunnels. So you can't help but to be distracted by Cody. And I think he thought that was being a bad guy. Yeah, it was interesting, but it was awkward as hell. I'm going to firm disagree on this one. That is a hot take. Ooh, Adam Messenger says the finger poke of doom was a better alternative than Nash and Hogan having an actual match at their ages. No, that's not true. That's a terrible take because I remember sitting there expecting an actual match. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to happen. These are like the two guys that are like feuding. Well, they weren't really feuding. Hogan had gone away to run for president. That didn't work out. So then he came back and it was like, oh my God, Wolfpack guy versus Hollywood guy. Who's going to win? How are they going to do this? This is going to be crazy. And they do that. And it's like, the fuck. I like this one. I'm just going to read the past one here from the All Gold. The grown ass man body type from the territories is highly underrated nowadays. We need more 28-year-olds who look like 48-year-olds. I agree with this. I really do. And I think dudes wrestling in jeans and getting super bloody and having lots of body hair, that needs to come back too. I think that'd be great. You know why? Because I could get into wrestling. Yeah, man. My dad bod, some jeans, body hair. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Grow my hair into a mullet. Be world champion within a year. I'm joking. I couldn't do that. Anyways, hey. Thanks for your guys' hot takes. I appreciate it. Do me a solid. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that whenever I put up one of these question threads or hot takes threads or whatever, you get notified. So you got to hit the subscribe button, the little notify bell next to it. We'll see you guys around.